evening, Niner fans. How we feeling? How we doing? It's Wednesday. No practice today because the 49ers play on Monday Night Football. So there's really nothing to talk about today. No real big news. But regardless, I'm joined with my weekly co-host, Aaron. What's up, my boy? How you feeling? Tell them how you doing.
Doing okay. We were talking off stream. We'll get into the topic, but I finally went viral on Twitter, so I'm peacocking right now. You know what I mean? I'm feeling pretty good about myself. It
My
took
boy.
me what 10, 11, 12 years on Twitter to finally have a tweet go viral. So
Hey.
I'm for such a crappy day. I was like, yeah, what up?
There you go. You ain't gonna ever look. You're gonna be getting them viral tweets now all the time. Watch them. I'm telling you. You probably it feels kind of cool when you got it.
I don't even understand because I've tweeted something similar before about the same guy, and no one responded. But
it was the image. It was the image you used.
Yeah, sometimes the image, and then like just the fact that people maybe have similar feelings about a situation, and it just boom. It's like a toothache when you hit it just right, and then it goes throughout your whole face. Yeah, it's kind of like what's going on right now. So
you know what? We'll bring that up first. Let's talk about that first. So basically, Aaron today posted basically this post about Nick Wright, right? 49ers hater. We all know who Nick Wright is. I can't stand this guy. He's one of those media guys that, and I was telling Aaron this, he just knows how to use certain players, certain topics for clickbait, for his views, for his show. That's what he does. He's a media guy, and they try to get the viewership. If it's negative against certain people, certain teams, he rides the wave. Like Brock Purdy, the media loves to talk negative about him because they know it's going to get us 49er fans talking and discussing his topics. And that's exactly what happened when he tweeted this out. So Nick Wright, I got the picture, the image that you posted, and it says, shocker. When Purdy had to play without the Avengers squad of skill position players, he looked a lot like when Nick Mullins was the 49ers quarterback. He's a big question mark and the Niners' weak link. So this is in response to his worst game of his career, Sunday against the Browns. I mean, he hasn't even played a full season. And Aaron, this is what you said in the tweet. You posted the picture, and yeah, there you go. You said that Nick Wright is the guy in high school who was a nerd that was given atomic wedgies and had his books dumped on a daily basis, but now has a platform that makes him feel tough and important. Woo! Go ahead. Have the platform.
And I would say that to his face. He's just listen. I was bullied in school too, so that's why I'm able to kind of have such an accurate description of exactly what he was in high school. But yeah, he comes off super pompous. He's like a poor man's Skip Bayless, but without all the the accolades. I can't stand him. He's a Chiefs fan. He's super. Somebody made a good point. They said he's the type of guy who doesn't watch games. He just watches highlights on Red Zone and then makes his assumptions based on that. Because
box score watcher kind of guy.
He's a box score watcher. Exactly. You can tell the people who watch games because remember the preseason game when Trey Lance had that really good drive towards the end and it was looking really a lot better. And they glossed right over it with the highlights and were like, another struggle for Trey Lance, blah, blah, blah. Niners win. Like you could tell that nobody at that channel actually watched the game. They just looked at the box score. So
I remember that because Trey actually played well and they had to come back. Yeah. Oh
yeah,
man.
Nick Wright, I have no respect for his viewpoint. And he's just like this weird, nerdy looking, like long-haired weirdo. Like just I like Orlowski a little bit more, but I don't like him either because they're pompous. Like the comment about Brock, essentially if you put Mac Jones in the same offense, Mac Jones would have a similar kind of play, stats or whatever. Yeah. I had enough. I just made the tweet to kind of be facetious and a little funny, and it went viral. I don't think people were reacting to what I said. They're reacting to the picture and the
text
actual
on
image.
The picture. Yeah, that's
because
what it is.
That really took a shot at him, saying essentially he's Nick Mullins, and I thought that was garbage. So
Yeah, and I think your caption was basically saying Nick Wright's wrong about this, but people see the caption on it and says when Purdy had to play without the Avenger squad of skill positions, he looked a lot like Nick Mullins, right? So I think that struck a nerve with 49ers fans because the 49er fans, we know what Nick Mullins looked like. He was not Brock Purdy. Like, we've seen all the quarterbacks over the years with Kyle Shanahan, and even before that. Like, Brock has shown us so much over the years. He's shown us so much over this last year. Like, he's shown us so much potential and promise. Is this one bad game? And you can tell Nick Wright was waiting for this bad game. The people that don't like Brock, they were waiting for this game. We said it last week. We said it when Brock has his bad game, when he makes mistakes, the media is going to pounce on him. They're going to be like, oh, they're going to be
See,
like,
I told you.
yeah,
See,
I told you so.
See,
yeah.
I said it to my brother after the game, after the kick was missed, and he was watching the end of the game with me, and I was just like, really, we missed the kick? And then I looked at him and I go, here it comes. He's like, what are you talking about? It's like, Twitter.
Yeah, and that's exactly
now Purdy's he's not real. He's trash. He's
terrible.
He's a fraud.
System quarterback. I told you so. Shannon Sharp last week. Oh yeah, he's a system. He's
first bad game in like 16 games, essentially, or however many games he started, and now all of a sudden he's a bum.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, every quarterback's gonna have bad games. Like Tom Brady's had bad games. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, like everybody's favorite quarterbacks have bad games. Newsflash. Yeah. Jalen Hurts.
Look at freaking what's his name from the Bengals? Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
Versus the same defense. What did he complete? 9 passes?
He looked horrible against that defense. And the Browns defense,
he had like 88 yards passing or something.
Yeah.
So
the Browns defense has been outstanding this year. You're right.
Just about 1,000 yards they've given up through 6 games. That's insane.
I don't know, man. Yeah, this Nick Wright, I'm glad he tweeted that. I mean, I was definitely mad. You got a banger tweet. That's what they call him there. You got a banger tweet. I'm reading through the comments. I love it. I want to pull out some highlight comments. So Tony says, Mr. Wright, I'm sure it would be different if they prepared to be without them. 49 Gal Forever says, I'm thinking Nick Wright's weak link is his brain. Cass says, dude is extremely annoying. Let's see. It said, Eric Lowry says, but yet he drove them down the field for a game-winning field goal. But that's on, but that we're not going to talk about that. So yeah, he did bring them down to, a game-winning field goal. So, Kerry Bass says, damn, if you take Kelsey away from the Chiefs, if you take Tyreek away from the Dolphins, Henry away from the Titans, Diggs from Buffalo, Adams from the Raiders, blah, 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 blah. He says, I can go on. Every quarterback needs a supporting cast. I mean, Nick Wright's just a hater, man.
He said that we're like the Avengers.
Yeah.
Whatever, dude.
It's silly.
I'm pretty sure with one of the Super Bowls you won, you had a cast of characters with Tyreek Hill, who's one of the best. I can't even explain Tyreek Hill. He's not really a receiver. He's a track star with receiving hands. You know what I mean? And then Kelsey. That's almost an unstoppable offense, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Everybody needs a supporting cast.
Yes. You're not gonna throw it to mid play. Like, look at the Chiefs. They had to go get McCall Hardman back because
they actually traded for a guy that they let go in the offseason to come back because they have literally no pass catchers other than Kelsey.
Exactly. Their receivers are so mid. They needed to get Patrick Mahomes more help.
But no one talks about that.
But nobody does.
This is the thing. He would have to go to a Super Bowl and be near flawless in that game and win for anybody to give him any credit. He's never going to get the credit. He's never going to get MVP consideration if, say, he had a really good season because of his size and because of where he was drafted. People are going to hold that against him for the rest of his career. They're always going to come with some and if or but when you talk about Brock Purdy. Well, it's because he has Shanahan as his play caller. Well, that's because he's got a bunch of great playmakers. Well, that's because you cannot give people credit ever, like not even a little bit. So Nick Wright, to me, like I said, he was the nerd in high school that got wedgies, and where if I walked past him, I would have punched his books out of his hand, and he didn't do about it. That's literally what he is. He's taking it out on everybody that made fun of him when he was younger. Because he's got a cushy job talking sports. You're right. He was probably tormented by the jocks. So now that he's in sports, he gets to make fun of all the jocks and sit there and make their life hell because he was not part of the cool club with them. So now
his job is to poke fun of those guys that
He
probably
needs to go after somebody with some serious athletic accomplishments and have them just crush him back. Like take a shot at Debo, take a shot at somebody on the
Yeah.
Niners.
Can
I'd
you
love to
imagine if
see.
I want to see him take a
He
shot
needs
at
to be
Debo.
emasculated by somebody.
I need to see him take a shot by Debo. Woo!
Oh.
We'll talk about Debo later, but yeah, at the end of the day, man, the media is praying for Brock Purdy's downfall. It's weird. We saw this early in the offseason. People were praying for his downfall, and now it's full steam because he's quarterback one. He had a insanity run. Basically, he was going crazy, and it came to an end. And when good things come to an end, people are like, "Oh, see, there had to be a reason. There's got to be a reason." Now he just got to bounce back. And
your comments just made a point for us. He says, "Look at the Eagles. Hurts has all his weapons, and they still lost. He threw 3 picks.
3 picks.
We're not allowed to have bad games in the NFL.
Yeah.
This is Purdy's literal first bad game since he's been the starter. His first.
I know.
And they still almost won.
That's the thing. He almost won the game.
He threw 2 elite passes or great passes on that drive, and if it wasn't for Nick Moody missing, we would. I don't think it would be a completely different conversation, but it'd be a little bit different. But.
Yeah, Jake Moody. Jake Moody sold him, but throughout that game, I mean, Purdy had there's some bad throws. Like, he had some overthrows, some missed passes, like the one to CMC. Oh, I wish we could get that one back because he had him wide open. But Brandon Ayuk had some drops. Like, we got to put that out there. Brandon Ayuk had a wide open in his hands touchdown pass. He dropped it, and he did it again. So it's not just like it was Purdy. There was a lot of issues. There were some penalties in this game. Some of them should have been a penalty. Overall, the game, we know what happened. We've talked about it. We've dissected it, but
it was a crab sandwich all over. It was like anything that could go wrong in that game went wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Penalties were. The Niners are a super undisciplined team. They got to change that. Something's got to change. The weather, injuries early. It was just everything that could go wrong. It was just not the Niners' day. It just wasn't meant to be. They weren't going to win that. Like, them not winning, if you talk to a lot of the players who actually are worth a damn on this team, they say we didn't deserve to win. We played really, really bad. So
yeah, it was an ugly loss, but it is what it is. We got to move on.
It's one game.
It's one game. The Niners were
literally one game.
For weeks over the last couple of years, they started out like 2-4, 2-4. Like, the fact that the 49ers are 5-1, they're only one of a few teams that are 5-1. Like, there's a handful of
5-1,
teams.
And we're getting crucified like a team that's freaking, we're the
1
New
and
York
5.
Giants or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Patriots.
That's the thing. The Niners are getting talked down like they're 1-5. Brock Purdy. To me, the biggest thing I want to see after Brock Purdy's big, letdown game, whatever you want to call it, how's he going to respond to this? How's he going to bounce back next week? That is what I want to see. If he is really a good quarterback, he's going to come back next week and just go crazy on Monday night. And that's what I expect. Prime time, lights shining, big stage. He just threw a stinker of a game. How's he going to respond next week on Monday night? If he comes out and has a hell of a game, Nick Wright's got some explaining to do, because guess what? The 49ers are back in business. It's one bad game. Quarterbacks have them. And that kind of brings me to the big topic of today is, the 49ers are being looked down by some media, not everybody, because some media members still think the Niners are top shit. But a lot of the media is looking at them like, oh, this was a bad lay. They're like you said, the Giants, 1-5 team. But the 49ers are still one of the elite teams. They're still, by many of the rankings, what are the top teams? I think some of them have them 4 Super Bowl favorites still. The NFL has them at 1. Are the 49ers still the best team in the NFL after Sunday's loss? What do you think?
Hard to say. Yes, because I don't really see another team. I mean, the Chiefs have played really well recently. So maybe Kansas City jumps up to number 1. Maybe the Niners drop to number 2 a little bit. The reason I say that is just because they started the year 0-1 and their quarterback is working not with a full deck, and he's still finding ways to make plays and win. So I wouldn't they're not like, they haven't fallen off so precipitously that they're just like so bad, but like maybe they've taken a slight step back. Maybe Kansas City's jumped into that number 1 spot, but to say that the Niners are like on a free fall and they're going to lose a bunch of games in a row. I don't think so. I just think this Viking game is important. It's not a sure thing. They need to come out and play this game hard. I think they're going to come out pretty motivated.
Oh yeah.
They're pissed. If you listen to Fred Warner, he said, "I want the trophy that I can kiss at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Not the MVP trophy, or excuse me, the undefeated season trophy." I have a feeling, especially if Drake Greenlaw's back, if Debo can play, there's going to be a little bit of a pissy version of the 49ers. Kyle might become disrespectful. Kyle maybe get into his bag a little bit if they're beating up on the Vikings and like, you know what, we're dropping 45 on these guys. I don't care. I wouldn't be surprised if that kind of game happened.
Yeah, no, I agree. I honestly think that the 49ers, this is a bounce back game. They didn't like what happened last week. I think, they learned from it. Like Fred said, he goes, in order to be the team that we want to be, we got to go through the type of games like this and learn from it. And this is a humbling experience. It was a humble pie type game. We all thought they were going to come out and crush the Browns. But I still think, even with this loss, the 49ers are still the same talented team they were before a week ago when they were 5-0. They're still the same team. They just got hit in the mouth, and they had, like you said, it took everything to go wrong for the 49ers to lose. Like, everything that needed to go wrong for them went wrong, and they still had a chance to win the game. If they would have won this game, they would have been the only NFL team that's undefeated. So because of a couple inches to the right from Jake Moody, the 49ers are not undefeated. So it was just a matter of inches.
And it would have been a totally different conversation for the national media.
Absolutely.
I really think that the national media is super overreactive, and they live and die by being prisoners of the moment. I will say this. Everybody remember the 94 49ers, okay? We got smashed by the Eagles that year. I think it was like 40-8. That was the famous game where Steve Young was pulled, and he wanted to fight Coach what's his name? Not Walsh. Seifert.
Yeah.
And then they went on to win the Super Bowl and beat the Giants 49-26. Like, they're going to lose games, guys.
Yeah, they got
like, this isn't, you let the Dolphins pop their champagne. Who cares, right? Like, they haven't won a Super Bowl in 50 years. So who cares, right? So I think the fact that they got it out of the way now and didn't lose in February or late January is a big thing. We'll see. We'll see. The Niners, we'll see. Well, we're going to see if they're going to have a little bit of bounce back in their step. Let's see if they come out against the Vikings with a bad taste in their mouth and they take it out on them. I expect that's the kind of game we're going to get. Not saying the Vikings are going to roll over. I think the Vikings, even without without Jefferson, are still pretty good offensively.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We don't know.
They got weapons. They're going to play. I mean, they're a professional football team.
It's in their house. There's going to be a lot of noise and yada, yada, yada. But hey, we don't have any rain to worry about.
Yeah, dome, baby. It's a dome, baby.
It's a fast track. So my whole thing is, how are we going into this game with people that shouldn't be playing, or are people going to be out, or, are we going in with a full deck in Minnesota? Or are we going to, save it a week for the Bengals? Like, I don't know. We'll see.
That's
the Niners.
That's a good question.
We still have enough playmakers, though.
But so that brings me to my next question. So at the end of the day, I expect the 49ers to come out so much more focused this week. Not that they weren't maybe focused last week, but maybe they lost it a little bit. Maybe they, it was a long week. They've been grinding. And before, they had won 5 in a row this season, but their regular season win streak was like, what, 15 games before that? They lost in playoffs one time. But other than that, they were like rolling through last season, rolling through this season. I think you're right. They needed to get a loss now before it got too if it got too crazy and you go on this massive win streak and then, it's happened. Like, look at the Rams that year. We beat them every single time. And then you get to the main game where it mattered, you lose in the time it matters. So sometimes those streaks are good to end when, a little bit earlier than needed, later in the season. But I think the 49ers could go on another long win streak. Like, what's to say they can't? They went on a massive one last time. They can go on another one. So they'll start a new streak. But that brings me to the next topic is, you mentioned, are the 49ers going to be fully healthy? Will they be playing with the full deck? If they have some guys that are hurt, should they play? Let's talk about it. So we all know after that game, to me, the biggest concern after that Browns game. It wasn't even that the Niners lost. I was like, okay, whatever. They beat us. That was their Super Bowl. They hit us in the mouth. To me, I was
that was
like,
like the biggest. Yeah,
yeah, that was the biggest game. They even did the boombox celebrate. Like this was a big game for them.
fuck
This
outta
was
here.
like the biggest win the Cleveland Browns have won in years. In years, Aaron. Like long fucking time. Sorry, my language. But to me, after the game, I was more concerned about what's going to happen with Trent Williams, what's going to happen with Deebo Samuel, what's happening with Christian McCaffrey, and Dre Greenlaw didn't play. The good news is all those injuries are minor. They have a chance to play next week. It's going to be like a pain tolerance issue. We'll see how they go through practice this week. They start practice tomorrow. They had an extra day in between practices. Today they were off. So I don't know. I want these guys to rest, but I don't want them to stress themselves. I still think we have enough talent to beat the Vikings without these guys, but I thought the same thing last week. And without Dre Greenlaw, this team defensively was getting ran around. They got ran through. So
what a difference, though. One guy.
Yeah.
What a
It's
difference.
crazy. It's crazy. He's huge, man. You see how important he is.
He
He'll
can't go anywhere. He can't go anywhere. He has to be kept at all costs.
He'll be back, which is good. But what about Deebo? Do you think he was on Kay Adams' show this morning, and he says his shoulder's sore. He's going to see how it feels this week. He wants to play, but he has to really see how the shoulder feels throughout the week. Christian McCaffrey, we know that doesn't have a serious injury, but it is going to be a pain tolerance thing. Oblique injuries are tough when you bend, when you rotate, when you flex.
I've hurt my oblique before. I've strained it. It hurts really bad.
He's got to do those things when he plays. And then Trent Williams, he's the dog. He's got an ankle sprain. If this ankle injury turns into a bigger injury, Niners offensive line could be cooked. So do you think they should play them all? What's your take? Should they rest them all? Should they rest maybe CMC, maybe rest Trent? If CMC plays, who should play running back too? There's so much to talk about with these three injuries.
Man, I think I'm being a selfish fan here, but no win is guaranteed, right? And coming off that loss in Cleveland, the Niners need to come out and have a really strong game. The only one that really concerns me a ton is Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. Okay.
If he can play through pain, that's great, but that's a tough injury to play through if you're not numbed up, because he's going to take shots. They're going to try to hit him in the ribs.
Yeah.
Any team is smart. They're going to go right after the injury. It's like, they smell blood. Deebo, with me, I mean, if he misses a game, we still have Kittle, we still have Ayuk. And I think that's enough. Plus, if we run the ball effectively with the two running backs that we have that I think that are going to play, I still think we have enough to beat the Vikings without Deebo and Christian McCaffrey. I'd rather have one of them play. Trent Williams, to me, man, him not playing is like that changes everything on the offensive line. He's our best lineman by far. This line it had a rough week last week, especially interior wise. Even Trent had a bad game after he got hurt. So, man, I mean, like I said, I'd rather have none of them miss, but I guess Christian McCaffrey would be the one just because of wear and tear that I would say, yeah, sit him out and then have him play against the Cincinnati Bengals. But man, I'm selfish. I'm a selfish fan. I want them all to play.
Yeah.
Let's see if it happens.
I agree too. Like, it's tough because you can just see how important CMC and Deebo are. So we all know how important Trent is to this offensive line. You're right. They were getting thrown around, but they were playing, again, this D-line for the Cleveland Browns. This is just crazy. Myles Garrett is generational. But without Trent Williams, Jalen Moore, I'm scared if he had to play, man. And shout out to Trent. He played through the injury because he didn't want Jalen Moore facing Myles Garrett. Like, oh, man, he's a gamer. Like, shout out to Trent for really, toughing through it. I think he'll be okay. He's a monster. So I think Trent will be okay. Deebo, as much as people say, oh, we can win without him, Ayuk's the guy. He's a different guy. Like, they tried to use the Deebo plays with Ray McCloud. He just didn't have the juice that Deebo had. Like, you could tell the timing was off. He was bumping into Trent Williams. Like, Deebo is important for Kyle Shanahan in terms of the motion, getting plays set, and he's just so important for Kyle. Like, he's a tone setter for Kyle. And CMC, you can just see how important he is to the offense. Like he came into this team last year, and they hadn't lost the game really in the regular season. Their offense was scoring 30 points. Without him, you can tell they just didn't know who to trust at running back. We got Elijah Mitchell. Kyle loves him. That's his man crush. But he gets hurt, and you have to limit his carries. I think he likes him a little bit more because he's better in the pass catching game than Jordan Mason. I love Jordan Mason. He runs so damn hard. He's so decisive. He's so tough with the ball in his head.
He's quick too once he gets
very
to the hole.
quick, but he can't catch out of the backfield. And we've talked about it in the past. The fumbling issues. He's been nice lately, but I feel like that still sticks and reverberates around Kyle's head. So it's tough to really see who's going to be the guy to step up for CMC if he can't play. I hope CMC can play. He's a monster. He's tough. The other players have played through this injury, but it is one of those injuries for CMC specifically. It's dangerous for him to play because you said it, or you kind of touched on it. Teams are targeting this guy. Every week, players get fined for the hits they're putting down on CMC. Face mask, helmet to helmet. They're doing everything they can to take CMC out of the game because they know, well, if you take out CMC, slows down the offense. They don't have the ability to throw it to him and turn a 5-yard play into 80. Like we all know how good CMC is, and teams are trying to take him out of the game. It's like in 2021 when Debo was the guy, they were trying to take him out of the game. That's how that's how the league works. It sucks. I hate seeing it, but teams
it's always been like that though.
They're targeting him.
It happened back in the years with Montana with the Giants. Every time they played the Giants in the playoffs, Montana got knocked out. Geez, I wonder if that was a coincidence or not. You know what I mean? Like, how do you beat a team that's really, really good? Well, you take away their best player and then force them to play without him. The thing with CMC, we talked about it, that like they were using him a ton. Kyle was really overusing him, and now we're gonna know what the world is like without him playing if he decides to be out a couple games. And one thing about Kyle that I would say that I was a little disappointed was in the last game is, a couple guys went out and it's like he was like caught with his pants down, so to speak. So maybe him having a week, pause. Me and him having a week to prepare that those guys might not play. Maybe he has a little bit better feel of what he wants to do with the offense because they looked when Debo and Debo and CMC left the game, they looked like
the headlights.
They looked bad.
Kyle didn't know what to call. His game plan was bad. People touched on it. They need to get Kittle the ball more. He had one target, one catch, 1 yard.
What is going on with that? Some people say they watched the film and Kittle's open.
I mean, he was. But I think his game plan just he got flabbergasted. When you lose, somebody in the comments, I think Big City Man says, if they would have had CMC and Debo, they probably would have won this game by 10. They probably would have. That changes everything. I think Kyle just couldn't figure it out. And Brock was having a bad game. He was rattled. This was the first time I seen Brock rattled until the end. He wasn't the normal poised Brock.
Not afraid though.
No, he wasn't afraid.
He just off his game.
He was just off his game. He wasn't as decisive. And then Brandon Ayuk dropping passes, like I mentioned earlier. It just was unconventional type of game.
I think they came in a little bit full of themselves.
I think so.
And tell by the pregame fight, just everybody's feeling really good about themselves. They beat Dallas's ass by 32 points in prime time. Everybody's talking how good they are. Everybody's talking about how they could be a Super Bowl favorite. It's human nature when your people are talking good about you and you're playing good to slightly take other teams lightly. Like, oh, they're the Browns.
The Browns were ready for the Niners. I think they had the Niners right where they wanted them. That pregame fight, I think that's exactly what the Browns wanted. They wanted to have them feel like, oh, okay, the Browns are nothing. We're going to out-bully them.
Yeah,
and
they feel like, oh, these guys don't respect us. Let's come and punch them in the mouth. And the Niners didn't respond.
Right in the mouth, and the Niners didn't know what hit them. They were like, oh, God. Big City Man, he says, I'm not trying to take away anything from the Browns. Great game. This right here, part of his comment, he says, I'm sure everyone this season will be watching this tape. Absolutely. Schwartz from the Browns, he owns Kyle. I know a lot of people have said this.
9-1.
9-1 against Kyle. They're looking at this tape to really see how to, stop the Niners. I mean, the biggest thing is they didn't have Debo and CMC, so that changes things away. But people are going to really study this film and see what they did. And what they did was they hit the Niners square in the mouth, man.
Teams can watch the film and try to replicate it, Big City Man, but they might not have the dogs to do so.
Correct.
You can watch film and try to replicate what one team does to another, but if that team doesn't have Myles Garrett and all those really good defensive players, good luck.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it can't happen, but I mean Cleveland's defense, like 1,000 yards for 6 games. That's stupid. And when I mean stupid, I mean that's awesome. They're really good.
It's true.
I saw this yesterday. We were talking about this yesterday. I think I was in a stream. I forgot. Jay in the Bay. We talked about this. I was like, Cordell Patterson would actually be a smart pickup because I don't think he'd cost a ton.
Yeah.
And then you
He'd
could
be
still
fire.
make it, and then make another, and then still make a defensive trade. Like I could see that if this would be the only way I could see the Niners making multiple moves at the trade deadline is bringing in a guy like Cordell to kind of be a stopgap in case someone like Debo gets hurt or Christian McCaffrey, and then going out and maybe signing, a slightly lower rung tradable corner
Mhm.
or a guy from say like the Vikings, Danielle Hunter. That would be Danielle Hunter to me, that would be great.
Yeah, I think that's what the Niners are going to do is they're going to go after a lower tier cornerback for depth. I don't think they're going to get Surtain. I know everybody wants Surtain. They want Brian Burns. They want those guys. Yeah. But they're going to get like the middle tier guys, which isn't bad. They just need more depth because the guys they have that are starting are good. They need depth pieces. Cordarrelle Patterson on this 49ers team would be perfect. He is exactly what Kyle loves. A very physical, versatile. He's good at blocking. He can play running back. He can play tight end.
He's like a Percy Harvin type player.
He's a thicker Debo. He's thicker than Debo. Pause. Debo, he's like, dude, this guy, I love Cordarrelle Patterson. I remember when he was a free agent and before he went back to the Falcons, I was
we talked. I think me and you might have talked about it.
We said
we talked about that. We talked about in the offseason about, we were pissed off about the defensive line and how they didn't add an edge rusher. I thought, how do you think Gregory played in the last game? I thought he played all right.
He did great, man. I think
he ended up getting a lot of reps at the end. If you noticed,
I think Jackson they really liked what they saw out of him. He's the veteran. I think he really impressed them because I didn't know how many reps he was going to get. He'd only been on the team for a week coming into that game.
Yeah.
How much is he going to really digest? This guy figured it out quick. He was one of the silver linings. I really liked what I saw out of him. I think he's going to be really solid for this team. Him and Chris Kasurek, they're jiving. He was nice. He was one of the standouts for this team. Real quick, Big City Man says the first drive was sick. Everybody's talking about the first drive. So the 49ers did start off really good. But again, that's when they had CMC. They had Debo. Like, they weren't hurt. So when that team was at full strength, they were moving the ball. Brock Purdy looked good. So, again, it just shows you that this team, when they're healthy, they're still the best team in the NFL because they move the ball
They're very well tuned when they have all their players. Like, this offense is meant to have everybody healthy, which sounds really stupid because so does every other offense, right? But
100%.
The way that this offense runs, it's every player affects the other player by the way that they play. Yeah. And there's so much interchangeable with Debo and Christian McCaffrey, both essentially could be running back and wide receiver, right?
Yeah.
You got a tight end who essentially can, stay in and block or also be a pass catcher. They've lined him up in the backfield before. It's Kyle, when he has all of his toys, it's sometimes he gets a little bit where he doesn't he just sticks to a couple guys because it's so much. But this team, when they have everybody on, it's a well-oiled machine.
Absolutely.
The only team that compares to them, I say, is Miami with Tyreek Hill.
That team is just a track team because you got Tyreek, you got Waddle, you got Raheem Mostert.
How did the Chiefs ever get rid of him?
Oh my God, they got so much speed on that team. It's crazy. Oh, geez, man, that team.
My brother was like, "You guys can't win this year. You got to start losing some games. I can't have a Super Bowl where it's the Dolphins Niners."
I would.
Me and my brother wouldn't talk for weeks after that.
I know we talked about that before. I would love it. I would absolutely love it. The Mike McDaniel versus Kyle Shanahan Bowl. Oh my God!
That Apprentice versus the Master. Obi-Wan versus Anakin type thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd be fun, man. Unbelievable. Christine says, "Hell, 3 of your main players go down at the same time. It shocked the hell out of us. How you think the team feel? Exactly. The teams
apparently Nick Wright is that's not a problem.
Yeah, I guess every other team if they lose 3 of their star players, it won't affect them. Only the Niners, because
Take Jerry Rice and Brent Jones off of a team with Montana in the late 80s.
Take away Jerry Rice, Ricky Waters, and who else?
John Taylor.
John Taylor away from those Niners teams, and you're not doing jack. You're doing nothing. You're doing nothing.
The players are great players for a reason. That's how much they affect the team when they're not there. Their greatness is defined by how much they affect the team when they're not playing. Like, wow. I mean, it's that much more dangerous when just one guy is in there. Like Christian McCaffrey, this offense is like I can't even say it, like salt to a when people have those drinks with the salt on the rim.
Yeah, salt to the
margarita.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, Big City Man says Tyreek is their CMC in Miami. So you take away Tyreek, I mean, Waddle's good.
Oh, that would be a total. They're a good team, but yeah, he's everything to them.
It's like a throwback, 49ers throwback. What's up, my man? He says the Chiefs' offense wasn't the same without Travis Kelce, right? The Lions, week 1, they lost to the Lions because they honestly, that was why they lost. The Lions are a good team, don't get me wrong, but they could not. Those receivers were having such a bad day. Travis Kelce was missed so bad. Like if Travis Kelce asked for a raise that night, he probably would have got it because those receivers stunk it up so bad. They were dropping everything. What's his name? I can't remember the receiver's name, but the guy became a national meme. He was a meme. I mean, he had drop after drop. Kadarius Toney, that's his name. This guy he became an embarrassment that night. I mean, he dropped so.
He's the reason I probably want to get Hardman back. That guy.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, baby, that's all, folks. Sorry.
That's it. That's why they got McCall, folks.
Sorry, guys. I'm having a tough night. I can't articulate. I appreciate
all good.
It. Yeah.
So you take away star players from any team, naturally they're going to struggle. Like that's it. What a concept! What a concept! Oh man, I don't believe.
Robert Masana says he's adding all your content you present to the San Francisco 49ers Facebook group. Keep up the good work. There you go.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Showing our work. Appreciate you.
Yeah, don't be a stranger in the 49ers first takes.
Yeah. Shout out to my boy Aaron too. Get his content out. Go check his Twitter out. He went viral today, baby.
I went viral with a freaking a blast on freaking
Nick Wright. You got it. You know what?
I'm calling him a nerd.
Aaron, I think this is your that's what you got to take your Twitter page to and just start calling out these guys. You're gonna be going viral.
I used to do that in the past, and people said I was like a hater and a troll because I would call out athletes for sucking.
Well, not the athletes. Call out the media members. People love it when you don't call out the players because you call the players out, you're gonna get.
I'm blocked. Kittle has me blocked. Eric Armstead has me blocked.
Oh.
This was back in 2017. I was a bad person on Twitter.
Well, you learn from your mistakes.
Now I wish I could get myself unblocked because now I'm different.
You're a different guy. Yeah, but that you grew from it. And now hopefully Kyle grows from this game. Jason Lynn makes a good comment. He says it's one thing to lose your star players, but Kyle needs to do a better job adjusting his play calling for information. I agree with this take because we talked about it briefly today. Is he was a little flabbergasted. He definitely was shook. It wasn't just Brock that was shook. Kyle was definitely, shook in terms of play calling. But he called himself out. He said it. He says it starts with me. He knows he should have done a better job adjusting. Schwartz owns him, man. Like this is his kryptonite. Schwartz, he just knows how to game plan him. Like he probably has the blueprint on how
Schwartz
to
is with him,
Yeah. Absolutely.
He says that we should put our @s under our names, under our pictures.
We should next time. I thought we did.
Time.
I thought mine is on. I don't know how to use it.
We have because you don't have the RS 49ers like our
the old
stream.
one because I got to separate it from my I got to separate it from my old one because if I try to get monetized and they see that it's similar to they're gonna be like, oh no,
I got you.
Anyway,
we'll have Roscoe make a new one for us.
We should. My man Blood Moon says X Factor Ronnie Bell. You think okay? Let's throw this out there. So let's fast forward to Monday. Let's say Debo can't play, or CMC, or one of the two can't play. Ronnie Bell, you think the Niners should dial him up more? He's been quiet since early in the season when he had the touchdown. He stepped in for Ayuk. What about Ronnie Bell, man? Should
I
Kyle get
wouldn't
in?
mind. I wouldn't mind spotlighting him. They don't use him. He's like the seventh guy on the progression list. So, yeah, why not? And he looked good in the preseason, and he hasn't done anything since. So he's made a couple plays on special teams here and there. But yeah, running ball, get him the ball,
Get on
put
the
him in
ball. I mean,
space, screen it.
he had a nice game. The game where Ayuk was out and he got his touchdown. And I thought, okay, maybe they're going to use him a little bit more. But honestly, yeah, if they have these injuries, I feel like if that's why I don't think they
I
should.
feel like it's teaching Kyle to be a little bit more dynamic with his play calling.
Well, not
if
only
guys
that,
are
but
out.
trust the rookies, because Kyle does not trust
No.
young players. He wants
Everybody,
them to earn.
you go from being drafted into the doghouse for no reason.
Well, yeah, because he has a certain way of developing, but they all turn out to be pretty good for the most part. Like Debo, and these guys like Ayuk. I mean, first round pick. It took him a while to get to the point where Kyle was like, okay, he's our guy. But I feel like if Debo is really that hurt and he can't play, or CMC, just don't put too much pressure on them and let Ronnie Bell become a highlighted player this week, because you can still win because you have young guys that can step up. Like, I think Kyle needs to look at it at that and say, yeah, you know what? Debo's hurt this week, but I don't want to push him to play because he's going to get hurt more. We do have Ronnie Bell. We can use him a little bit more. And then the next week, Debo will be even healthier and it'll be a better in the long run. So I still think Kyle could look at it that way. But what do I know? I'm not Kyle.
He took a lot of blame after that loss. He says it's on me. That's the first time, and I think this is part of maturation and growth. Kyle was like, it was on me. I need to be better. And I was like,
yeah.
Usually Kyle is just like, the offense didn't do this and the defense was bad and blah, 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 and he just, he takes kind of like these really subtle jabs, these kind of broad statements, and the fact that he kind of was like, yeah, I'm part of the problem. The run defense was atrocious in that game without Greenlaw. I mean, they were
without
bad.
Greenlaw, but he'll be back, and that was a huge miss. But I think with him back, we'll be okay in that department. And you're right, Kyle. He's showing growth, man. Like, he's happy this year. He trusts the quarterback. You can just see he's a different guy. And for him to call himself out and take accountability, that was a huge, maturation moment. I was like, well, okay, Kyle, shout out. Good. I was like, where are you? Did you kidnap Kyle Shanahan? Like, is this guy the real Kyle? Like, what the heck is going on?
No, he's the guy that's up in the stands that looks like him. Remember that guy?
Yeah. Oh, I know the guy. I met him a couple times. I know the guy that is that guy. Like, I met his cousin at the game who does his social media, and he's like, "Yo, what's up, bro?" Because they recognized me, and I was like, "Oh, what's up?" And I said, "What's up?" I was like, "Who are you?" And I was like, "I don't want to be rude." He goes, "Oh, fake Kyle. That's my cousin." I was like, "No way." So we started talking. He had the playbook, so I'm taking pictures. I got on one of their videos, and then he comes around and he goes, "Hey, he's gonna meet me, and we'll say what's up." So I said what's up to him. He's so cool. So maybe it is the fake Kyle, the fake Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, they have him. He's locked in a broom closet somewhere in
maybe they took him
stadium.
Out. I want to get to a couple questions here as we kind of round out the show. So Big City, shout out to Big City. He's been really active in the chat tonight. He says, that's why I'm surprised he went with the rookie kicker. We were talking about rookies and Kyle with, he doesn't really trust them. I'm so curious how Kyle really feels about taking Moody. Like, he's been supportive of Moody. Like, he says that was the move he wanted to make. He's led us on to think that this was really his draft pick. Remember, flash back to the draft night where he goes, "Oh, you better be rock so good because I could have drafted a running back." Remember he made that joke? I don't really think that was a joke. I think he really wanted to draft a running back, but because he knew he needed a kicker, they went and make this kick. So what do you this was out of the blue to have him take a rookie kicker, and he's put so much trust in a rookie. This is uncharacteristic for Kyle. I absolutely agree with this, because traditionally Kyle does not put this much trust in a rookie. Even when they drafted a rookie quarterback, he waited his time to get his opportunities. For the most part, rookies on the 49ers, unless you're Nick Bosa because you're generational, you ain't seeing the field much. Jair Brown, he is not seeing the field much. Drake Jackson last year, he is sparsely. And then after week 11, they shut him down because he just didn't feel like he was ready for more games and stuff like that. So all the running backs we drafted, Kyle Shanahan is very tough on rookies, and now he has a rookie kicker that he has to rely on. And last week, it didn't go too well. Is his leash short? What do you think about Jake Moody?
I think Kyle doesn't have a choice. I think it was a monetary move
Okay.
to draft him and let Robbie Gould go. I think if Kyle had his had his choice, he would have re-signed Gould and kept him here. And maybe what happened Sunday doesn't happen, and we're talking a whole different tune. But I think it was more of a monetary thing. They couldn't afford to put $5 to $7 million in a kicker when they brought in a guy like Hargrave. So I think Kyle was kind of forced by the cap situation to draft a kicker that, if he had to choose it over again, probably wouldn't have taken. I would love to have taken an offensive lineman in the third round. That one guy, was it DeJuan Jones or whatever his name is?
Yeah.
That is killing it. But instead they chose the kicker. Yeah, I think it's, like I said, it's monetary. If he had his choice, he probably would have drafted a running back.
Yeah, that's what he joked, and I honestly think he would have. And
I don't think he was kidding, like you said.
I don't think he was either. And it's weird because, I mean, there was a lot of other positions they could have drafted, like you said, lineman. You mentioned, and last, a couple years back when they did Aaron Banks, I remember people were saying the same thing. Oh my God, they drafted Banks. He's gonna be terrible. They could have got Asante Samuel, Azeez Ojulari, but Banks has turned out to be great. He had an abysmal rookie season. He got hurt. He basically redshirted, but he wasn't counted on to be a starter in his rookie season. Jake Moody is, because they didn't want to pay, Robbie Gould, like you said, monetary value. He's older. Robbie Gould couldn't do kickoffs. His leg was getting a little weaker, so they had to go out for a star kicker, and they felt this guy is going to be the next star kicker in the league. But by doing that, they put a lot of pressure on him, and it was weird because they went and traded for a kicker like this offseason. They went and got another kicker, Chris Gonzalez. Yeah. They went and got a kicker, so it was like, okay, you have a kicker, but you're taking a kicker. I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to use him as like an extra trade pick or whatever the case is. And now somebody in the comments says, who's their backup kicker? They don't have a backup kicker. Jake Moody's their kicker. They got to live and die by Jake Moody. If Jake Moody gets any issues going on with him, maybe they can go and use Mitch Wishnowsky. A couple weeks ago, they did sign another kicker, but they had to get rid of him because Jake Moody came back. He did have a little
field goals. He tried. Yeah.
So their kicker situation is a little murky. Now, Moody's young. He's a rookie. Can he improve? Absolutely. But that is a mental situation for a kicker. It's all mental. Like, he's got the leg strength. He's strong. It's not that he can't kick a field goal. We know he can. I've seen him kick in Michigan hundreds of times.
Yeah.
He's got the leg. It becomes mental. It's pressure cooker. In the NFL, it's a whole different monster. College is different. Even if you're
every
in big
game means something.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't the baseball where you can sit out 10 games and whatever.
And NFL,
not a country,
there's
not a
so
country
many
club sport.
Yeah, baseball, like you said. But I saw so many players that were great in college over the years. They get to the pros, and maybe it's because of work ethic. Like, work ethic's part of it. But they come to the pros, and they're just a shell of what they were in college. Like some of the biggest busts, Jamarcus Russell, Johnny Football. Like, those guys were so bad in the NFL. But again, they had bad work ethic. What's that?
Vince Young.
Yeah, Vince Young. But they had poor work ethic. Maybe not Vince Young as much as the other two guys. And I don't think Jake Moody has bad work ethic, but it's a different ball game, NFL to the college.
Big City Man says Kyle's got to dial up another high pressure situation. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
If he fails, they got to go find somebody else.
Absolutely. Kyle needs to make this man.
Question.
Like, if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I'm singling out Jake Moody on every practice, and I'm making him sweat every practice out. Like, listen, you need to make sure that if you can't handle this practice, you're not going to be able to handle the game time situation.
His body language and his demeanor after the game really irritated me.
He looked like he was going to cry, dude. I kind of felt bad for him.
Well, he was just like, well, it didn't happen. We'll do it next time. And I'm just like, wow.
He was sad, man. He was like, oh, I just, I could tell.
He's way too timid to be in the NFL, man.
Yeah. He's like,
that bothers me.
He's like, Winnie, you watch Winnie the Pooh? He's like Winnie the Pooh. He's like, oh bother.
Oh bother.
Oh bother.
Oh, what did you say? I have fluff in my ear. Like, yeah, he can't. Yeah.
Eeyore. Bro is Eeyore after the game.
Oh boy.
Bro is depressed. And I
don't know. He was acting like pig. Piglet, you know, he was all like
Piglet
nervous
with the
and stuff.
anxiety, bro.
Yeah.
They got to check this man's mentals because I'm telling you, from a health practitioner perspective, from someone in healthcare, this man is literally mentally scarred. They need that. After watching that, I was like, oh God, deer in the headlights. If he has to have another, he's going to. He's
They
young.
have to.
There's going to be another situation where the 49ers are in a game-winning field goal situation, and we're going to see what this man is made of. I don't think he would. I don't know if Kyle should put him in the doghouse because in my mind, I'm like, he needs to toughen him up.
It might melt him.
It might wash him out.
Gold used to talk shit.
So I'm saying Gold used to talk trash to Jalen Ramsey.
Because he wasn't worried, because he was confident in himself. This kid ain't confident. This kid looks like the kid who got yelled at his mom for, trying to grab a candy bar out of the, as they were leaving the grocery store, and his mom smacked his hand.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm sorry, Mom. Yeah, that's what he looked like. Bro, his body language. I'm a body language person. My dad taught me how to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's a sixth sense because I'm like on the, as they would say, on the spectrum or something. I don't know. My dad was able to vibe. People would just not vibe with him. He could my dad would be like, this person's like, they're lying or there's something off with them. I'm the same. Like, there's just something about his body language that doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't give me confidence. He seems timid in a game where you can't be timid. Yeah, dude. Are you kidding me?
It's like he's probably just like this on the sideline, just like slumped, poor posture.
His posture, and like he has that little like face where he just looks like, oh, did somebody take away your pacifier? Like, and
then Kyle has to go, okay, Jakey, it's time for okay, and he grabs his helmet and puts, okay, guys, we got it.
Okay, Dad. Thanks, Dad.
I don't want to hate. It's not that I'm hating on him, but that's just the vibe I get. Robbie Gold, bro.
He needs to have the B. He needs the BCB mentality.
He does. He needs to he
needs to walk out there like he's got a freaking 11-inch crank and just be like, "Hey, I'm ready to go."
That's what I'm saying. Just have confidence, because if he would have had confidence in himself, he would have crushed that kick. He just didn't trust
Moody
himself.
Got that cat in him. Yeah, cats. You know what he reminds me of? You guys ever watch He-Man Masters in the Universe? Remember Cringer?
Yeah, that was a good show.
He-Man's cat Cringer that he would turn into Battle Cat with the sword. He was always like all scared and stuff. He's totally Cringer.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to make a meme, okay? Somebody in this chat who has artistic skill. Somebody make a meme of Battle Cat from He-Man and put Jake Moody's face on it. and have Kyle be He-Man with the sword. Like, please, somebody, if you have artistic, please do that and send it to my Twitter page. He's Cringer.
He looks so scared in the picture. Look,
that's totally Jake Moody. Cringer. I love Cringer though, because I have a cat. She's a scaredy. She's a scaredy girl. I told her, I was like, "You're like Cringer."
This is how Kyle has to be with Jake on the sidelines, hugging him. Let me see. That's bad.
That's kind of bright.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't want to rag on him because I like him. But
see, this is the real me. When players just set me off on this tangent, I'm like, I'm ready to attack them. Like, not in a personal way. Like, I'm not going to attack this guy's like, anatomic or his anything about him personally, physically. He just looks like a dude who's not meant for the sport.
Yeah. Did you see
his whole family was there too? Like,
Big Time just says he missed in front of his whole family. So I think Coach Yak on Twitter, he posted I bet you
his mommy made him his favorite dinner after to make him.
He put him on his story, and then I know it got posted on Twitter that, oh look, Jake Moody's in front of his whole family, and I saw that picture before the game. I was like, okay. And then after the game, I went back to that picture, and the comments, I was like, oh, and they used it as a meme. I knew somebody was going to use it as a meme. They're like, Jake Moody missed a field goal in front of his family. That's just that's embarrassing. That's bad. That's just bad. And yeah, going back to like Robbie Gold, I don't think the Niners are going to get him, but someone in the chat says the more he misses, the worse Jake Moody does, the price goes up for Robbie Gold or any kicker, really. And it's tough because you look at Robbie and he was he was a captain of our team at one point. Like, a kicker was a captain at one point. That's how much of a dog he had on him. Jalen Ramsey, he stared him down after the picture. That was one of my favorite pictures between Niners and Rams, where he kicks a field and he's just looking, and Jalen Ramsey's on the ground, and Robbie goes right. I was like, oh, this guy is so savage. Got in the face of Jalen Ramsey, talking trash, kicking over the cheerleaders. I mean, people were doing their player intros. He would be running out and kicking field goals. He flipped off the Cowboys. He had so many big moments.
Someone needs to do an exercise of scaring Moody constantly with like an air horn at all times of the day to get him to stop being so nervous. You know, just like while he's going to the bathroom, you know, like when he's driving in his car, when he's going to buy, you know, crackers and peanut butter at the store, just like keep scaring him until he just doesn't. He just seems like a guy that if you're like, boo, he'll pee his pants.
It's tough because as a kicker, you have to learn how to be like just no fear. You have to be unfazed, and that's what Robbie had no fear, man.
One job. Someone's like, you know how hard it is to be an NFL kicker? Yeah, that's why I'm not one.
I'm sure it's tough because it's a lot of pressure, but in order to be that guy, you have to be like stoned.
Don't play sports then if you can't be a kicker.
You got to be stoned, man. And Jake right now, he's not stoned, man. And I hope he can become that guy. I hope he can become that guy because I think he has the talent. It's just
he's got the physical talent. I just think his mentals are a little shaky.
Yeah.
It's Susan D. Okay, this subject is depressing me. Yeah, I know. It is depressing. We're sorry.
We just want the best out of Jake Moody, and
we just don't want us costing us a playoff spot with a miss, you know. So,
yeah, Gabe says, why did we let Robbie go in the first place? Money, and he couldn't take kickoffs, and he was getting older. Like at
both of our punter and our kicker had issues with kickoffs, so it was like at least that's the ridiculous. Like we went to have our punter do kickoffs, and he can't get the ball to the end zone.
Yeah.
Our kicker definitely can't. And then we sign a guy who can do all those things apparently, except kick clutch kicks when you need them, or even in the preseason. Yeah. He was shanking him in the preseason. I was like, how?
But at some point you got to realize Robbie's going to retire. You knew they couldn't keep Robbie forever, so they had to like cut the cord eventually. And this was the year they cut the cord. It's like, all right, and they got a guy that can. He has all the tools. I think the biggest mistake they made by getting, I don't think Jake Moody was a mistake. Like they could have still got Jake Moody. I just think by drafting him in the 3rd round was the mistake. I think they could have got him later, and he would have been fine if they would have got him later. Because drafting him that early just put an unfair amount of pressure on him, and I'm gonna stand by that take until the day I die. That's it.
Stand by your take.
Ethan says everyone is mad at Moody, understandable reasons. I feel like he will be everyone's hero later in the season. I hope that's how I hope his story goes from not clutch kicker, he's crying, he got the cat in him, to the hero. If he becomes the hero, like, can you imagine? Let's flash forward to February, 30-30, 49ers, Dolphins, Super Bowl, game on the line. Niners need to kick this field goal. There's 2 seconds left. Jake Moody just drills it. 49ers have just won their 6th Super Bowl. Oh, I will buy a Jake Moody jersey. That's what I want.
He has 2 choices. Like Daniel said, he will learn from this or he'll crumble. So, yeah.
And if he misses that kick, Aaron,
you need like presidential security to get him out of town.
Oh, I'm gonna have a meltdown. So let's hope he doesn't. Anyways, yeah, it's gonna be fun. In any case, anything else that we missed today, Aaron? How you feeling? Any thoughts about this upcoming game against Minnesota? What do you think? Final takes?
I just think the Niners need to go into this game and play the Vikings as if they were playing the Philadelphia Eagles. They need to go into mindset of like everything matters, every possession matters. Just play this game with, I don't know what you got to do to motivate yourself, to get yourself in the mindset to wipe that ugly game in Cleveland away. But the Niners need to come out in this game, establish early, let the defense do what they do best. This defense is a great front-running defense on the Niners. They're good when they're up. This defense, when they're up, becomes super dangerous.
Yeah.
Because teams make mistakes. So Niners' biggest thing is if you got the ball, score touchdowns. Go up 7-0, 14-0, and let this Minnesota team have to throw the ball every play and just let the pass rush tee off. Let Gregory and Bosa do their thing. That's all I can say. If the Niners come into this game timid and, fall down by 10 points, I think it could be in a dangerous game. So the Niners need to come into this game aggressive.
I agree. This is a game coming off a loss. You want to be aggressive. You want to, bounce back. I think the Niners need to make another statement and say, hey, we lost last week. That's not who we are. Gabe says CMC and Debo expected to play. Maybe we'll see. They have a chance. We'll see how things go. Regardless if they play or not, I still think the 49ers need to come out and game plan as if they don't have them, just in case, and be able to, get Kittle involved more, which we talked about, get Ayuk the ball, and Ayuk needs to step up. And, I think the 49ers can go out there and crush Minnesota. Kirk Cousins, he's not really the best primetime quarterback. So I feel like the 49ers could come out, take this dub, and then bounce back, against a big team that they, need to win in the NFC. Because, again, you don't want to lose these NFC games. Losing against the AFC, not as tough as a blow. They're losing to an NFC team. So I think they should be able to. And then they got a quick turnaround because you don't have as many days to rest as you did this week because the next game's on Sunday against Cincinnati. So can't be looking ahead. You cannot look ahead towards Cincinnati, who's starting to get hot. This could be a trap game. I feel like they got caught in the game last week. I don't think they're going to make the same mistake twice. I feel like the 49ers will come out and win. One guy I really want to see step up a little bit more is Nick Bosa. He started to these last couple of weeks. I need more out of Nick. I need a little bit more out of Nick.
Yeah, we need more than sacks where you're not blocked.
Yeah.
You know who needs to have a big game? Kittle. Feed Kittle the ball. If you can't have certain guys play and you want to rest them, 85 needs to be target number 1, number 2, and number 3. Like, this is ridiculous. This dude got to use him. If he's supposed, people are like, I watched the film and he's open. Okay, well then.
Okay, get him the ball. And it's National Tight End Weekend. We need to see Kittle go.
Yeah, we need like a 7-catch, 135-yard and 2-touchdown game. Like, we need one of those kind of Kittle games. And if Elijah Mitchell plays, freaking, I don't know what you got to do. Take some aspirin before the game, or sit in some Epsom salt or something. Like, I need to do that soon. And like, dude, we need you.
Yeah,
we need you.
Need him. And Mason, I hope they get Mason involved, because if they give Elijah Mitchell too many carries, he's good as injured the next week. So they need to make sure they meticulously use
anything over like 12 carries. He's probably going to be on IR for another 6 weeks with a broken fingernail or something.
Absolutely have to use Mason. If CMC can't play, which we'll find out, if CMC can't play and you got to use Mitchell, please, for the love of God, Kyle, split the carries between him and Mason, because if Mitchell has 20 carries, this man will not. I can't take it. Like, I love Mitchell, but he's not built for that running back. That's why they had to go and get CMC, because they knew Mitchell couldn't handle a 20 carry load. They tried to. Would
you get a running back at the trade deadline?
No, because we have Jordan Mason.
Okay. Just saying, if Kyle is in his feelings and he thinks we need to make a move. I don't think we will, but somebody asked in another stream I was in, you think the Niners would make a running back trade at the deadline? I just don't.
Kyle loves him, so I'm sure
get a pass catcher
opportunity. But we need a cornerback. I'd rather get an edge rusher. I'd rather get a lineman, something like that.
My magic combo is Cordell Patterson and Danielle Hunter at the trade deadline.
Be nice.
That would be perfect. You get an offensive guy and you get another edge, and you get a rusher. You can never have enough pass rushers in the NFL ever.
Be nice.
Then Bosa literally only has to beat one guy on any given. Bosa missing camp this year, dude, is super detrimental. He's not the same player as he was last year. He just you hope the money hasn't gotten him a little soft. I don't think it has, but I mean, when you make that much money, it's you could retire tomorrow, and I think most of it's guaranteed, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's gotten him soft. This offseason was.
It was bad look.
It was tough. It was just like Debo last year. He didn't really train. I'm sure. Again, Nick Bosa kept himself in great shape. He looked amazing when he came in after he signed the contract. But being in shape and game football shape is a whole different story. So we'll see. Last question I want to take. VZ says, what's going on with TDP? He's just low man on the totem pole right now. That's it. He just doesn't have Kyle's trust.
He
But if
doesn't
you wanna-
block either.
He doesn't block. That's his problem. He doesn't pick up the
You
zone
get your
blitzes.
quarterback killed, that's a good way to be out of the league.
Doghouse.
Got to
Man.
block in the pass game. Have to.
Especially in Kyle's offense. If you're not a willing blocker, if you can't pick up, do blitz pickups, you ain't gonna get much opportunities. And then last thing, somebody said Bosa is not playing with the same tenacity. Yeah, I feel he just doesn't have the same juice this year. I agree with that. I agree. Let's hope he finds the juice because we need him. But you know what though? It's only 6 weeks. He can get that juice. He's a great player.
To me, as long as this last 6 weeks of the season, as we're heading down the stretch and we're going towards the playoffs, as long as Bosa becomes the old Bosa, I'm fine with that. I don't care what he does in the first 6 to 10 games. As long as down the stretch when it matters and we're trying to get a number 1 seed, that he shows up.
I hope he, if he flips the switch in the end, like the home stretch of the season, November, December, January, then I'll be cool with it. So, do we trade for Bulls? I don't think we do. I just hope that the 49ers stay healthy. And if they make some trades, I hope that they're not wasted players and players that you're like, But I think if they do make a trade, it's going to be some type of mid-tier cornerback. That's what I keep thinking. So, again, we'll see how it goes.
Go after Danielle Hunter from Minnesota, and you will have my vote.
There you go. There you go.
He won't cost a first round, would he?
No, I don't think so.
We have enough third rounders. I mean, I'm sure we could get some combination of, thirds and fifths and seconds or something like that.
We got a heap full of trades.
Yeah.
A trade draft picks, so we can throw them around. But I don't know. Niners like to use their mid to late round picks on things, and they like to move around on draft day. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting. 2 more weeks. Aaron, anything going on? You're going to be viral on Twitter all week. So what else you got going on this week?
Not much, really. I have a couple non-confirmed streams. I kind of do stuff with Rob Shue, but it's not like a guaranteed thing because we're kind of keeping it so it's not like we have to do it, type thing. And then Saturdays I was kind of doing something with Breezy, but I don't know what happened to that. So I'm looking maybe to start adding 2 late week streams to the docket. Try to get something going here because I need to get more active solo with my channel on YouTube. Because you know how the algorithms are. If you're not on YouTube, then you disappear.
That's it. You got to put your face on the screen. You need the screen time.
Ugly as I am, guys, you're gonna have to get used to seeing this mug.
Absolutely. Whether you're ugly or not, you got to be in front of that camera. So it's it is what it is. I wish I was never mind. I'm not gonna say it. If you're a pretty face, you go a long way. But with that, baby. With that, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a good rest of your night. I love you. Make sure you hit that like button. Appreciate y'all. Aaron and myself will be back next week, of course, but I'll be back tomorrow. I might be back on Instagram a little later. So you guys have a good rest of your night. I love you. Bang, bang.
See you guys.